Gentlemen, excellent to be back with you on MGTOW Money. Today's topic, Insider's Guide to Glamour Jobs. Before we get to that, thanks to the ongoing support from the Patreon investors in this channel. Welcome Ken, the newest Patreon supporter of this channel. Thank you, Ken, for your support, and I hope that my ideas and suggestions help you, specifically that last one I sent you on B2B professional sales. And by the way, you know what, guys? I sincerely thank those guys who support this channel via Bitcoin and PayPal. Again, I appreciate the respect. Also, before I leave here, go to the video description today, become a supporter of this channel. Also, check out the book link. This is especially important to today's channel. I'm including a book. It's called NFL Confidential, True Confessions of the Gutter of Football, written by Johnny Anonymous. I think a lot of you will enjoy it. It ties into today's topic, NFL Confidential by an anonymous former football player. All right, on to today's topic, Insider's Guide to Glamour Jobs. Men, do you ever have this idea, you see somebody on TV or you hear somebody on the radio, on movies, whatever, and you're thinking, wow, man, that guy's got a freaking awesome life. Or how about the guitar player? He's playing in front of a whole band and he's got girls just screaming and you're thinking, wow, I'm so envious. Of course I don't want to tell anyone, but I am so envious. If I just had that, if I had that guy's life, it would be perfect. Or the person who's a celebrity and they're all patting him on the back, that he's walking around your particular community and everybody knows him, etc. Okay. This is especially true for young men, so listen up real carefully. You do not want to be these men. Specifically, you do not want these types of jobs. Let me get into specifics right now. One, let's talk about broadcasting, TV, radio stuff, that type of thing. I included a cover photo of Howard Stern in this particular case. Who doesn't want to be Howard Stern? The guy's getting $20-30 million a year. He's been getting this for years. However, what you don't know, men, is that he is a tiny, I can't emphasize enough, an infinitesimal percentage of all the other people that are working in television and radio broadcasting. There is literally probably less than a half a dozen people who are making that kind of money within that particular area. Most of those guys you see on the TV, most of those people you hear on the radio, you know how much money they're making? They're making, maybe $30,000-$40,000 a year. And yeah, that's right. They've been doing it for 10 or 20 years. The point is that literally you've got possibly 1% that's making easily 50-60% of all the money. It's probably actually less than 1%. 4 out of 5 of those guys financially are living hand to mouth. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have any money. And it's especially true in smaller cities. If you're living in a city, or you've been living in a city that's, let's say, under a top 10, let's say it's got 2 million people, or even smaller than that, I can virtually guarantee you, those guys that you see on the radio and you hear on TV, etc., again, they're making no money whatsoever. This also applies to professional athletes. I used to know a guy, I used to work with him. He was a professional golfer. I can guarantee you, he was working in an industry that had nothing to do with professional golf. He was a very, very good golfer. He wasn't on the PGA, but he was on one of the mini tours, traveled worldwide, and was hoping to, and worked at it for many, many years to get to the PGA. The point is, though, as he told me in so many words, after all his expenses, because remember, when you're a professional golfer, when you're a professional tennis player, etc., you're 100% responsible for all your expenses. Housing, food, coaching, equipment, etc. You are totally responsible for it. The bottom line is, this guy was making no money, despite having very strong talents, despite having tremendous skills. He wasn't good enough. Look, it's one thing to say you're the number one golfer or the number one tennis player or the number one X in the world. However, if you're the number 65, guess what? You're making no money. Another example. So many times you see minor league baseball players throughout the United States. Even those guys that are the AAA, which is, of course, one step below the Major League Baseball level, where obviously the players are making tens of millions of dollars of guaranteed money. Those guys at the AAA level, you know what they're making? Nothing. When I say nothing, okay, $30,000, $40,000 for working a very tough, physically demanding job with a relatively short career. Men, this is not where you want to be. This also applies to, of course, actors, musicians, and that type of thing. Those guys are only getting paid when they're performing. Period. End of story. I'll just use another example. I'm aware of people that are involved in professional orchestras, professional symphonies and that type of thing. Again, so many of these people, frankly, they are incredibly talented. They put incredible hours of practice and performing, etc. They're making effectively no money. They're having to continually side hustle, lessons, etc. to make money. Are you sure you want that to be your life? Next, the competition in all these things is absolutely brutal. I cannot emphasize that enough. There is always, I can virtually guarantee you, there is always going to be someone who is better than you. No matter what field it is, when we're talking about these fields, there's always going to be somebody who has a better reputation than you, is a higher performer than you, etc. And furthermore, again, guarantee you, there's always new people coming around every single day. There's new, bright talent always being discovered. There's always somebody new and ambitious who's trying, who sees that illusion, if you will, and I say it's an illusion, of serious money on the back end. Look, men, it's just like the book that I read years ago, again, applying to professional football. You're meat on a hook when you're a professional athlete. You are completely expendable. They can get rid of you in a heartbeat, in particular if you're, of course, working for a team. Next point that I want to make about this that most people don't know is that, in particular, if you're involved in broadcasting, you're a musician, etc., as you can imagine, you'd better be ready to move. And I'm not just talking about moving occasionally. I'm talking about moving a lot. This especially applies to television and radio broadcasting. You're going to be moving probably every 12 to 18 months. Yeah, you heard me. You are going to be on the road a lot. You're going to be living what I would call a nomadic lifestyle, if you will. You're going to be constantly having to pack up, and it should not be uncommon where you're going to have 6, 8, 10 jobs, and guess what? A matter of 10 years, and you're going to have lived in 10 different cities during that time period. It can be brutal. Psychologically, I can assure you. Next, and lastly, why did they do it? You ever wonder, well, okay, based upon all this stuff, why are these guys doing it? And what do I suggest? Here's what I'm going to tell you. You know why a lot of guys do it? Because they do. They love it. Yeah, I know. Some of you guys love your job. Cool. These guys, many of them are absolutely passionate about what they're doing. And frankly, they can't imagine doing anything else because they really don't have the skills to do anything else. This is what they have spent and invested, frankly, years in doing. So they've gotten so far into it, it's kind of like, well, I'm so far in, I can't back out. They're so far into the quicksand, they can't back out. They're 40 years old. They've been doing this for 20 plus years. They can't see any other way out. Everybody that they know works in that particular industry, etc. Here's what I suggest, though. If you do want to get into these types of glamour jobs, if you will, where everybody knows you, what I highly recommend you do is instead reverse the situation. Reverse your life. In other words, spend your 20s and 30s and possibly going into your early 40s focused on achieving FU money. Focus on doing whatever it takes and whatever kind of work that you got to get to getting FU money. Specifically, I'm not talking about tens of millions of dollars. Just try to get enough money that at the very least, hey, look, I got a passive income that I got my basics covered. I got food, shelter, utilities. I'm good. At least I got that covered. Then you can reorient your life. You can refocus your life. You can start pursuing those things that you love. You can start looking at those activities that you feel passionate about. You can start doing those things every single day, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day that make you really excited to get out of bed in the morning. Finishing men. In my late teens, And going into the 20s, I was so confused and frankly really hurt psychologically by hearing this phrase repeatedly, quote, do what you love and money will follow. How many times have you heard that? Do what you love and money will follow. Men, that's a lie. I can't be any more specific. That is a lie. Forget this. You need to start focusing on doing things that people will pay you to do in a geographic area that makes you the most money in the shortest amount of time, period. Gentlemen, as always, I hope you found that profitable. Hit the like button if you did. John Galt, out.